Okay, so I have just started the recording so that this can be saved and put on the website for people to view it other times. Um, Unfortunately, not everyone gets a lunch at noon, so they're not able to attend live. Um, Anyways, welcome to weight management and summer activities. We're going to not delay because I want to be mindful of everyone's time. And let me try to share my screen. Just a heads up and a warning, technology and I are not always the best of friends, but I'm getting a little bit better. So, okay, it says that the screen is now being shared. So hopefully everyone can see that. Throughout the webinar, if you have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and unmute yourself and speak and ask your questions. Once the PowerPoint gets going, I can't always see the chat box, so I would appreciate it if you just go ahead and ask your questions. I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. If you don't have a question, I do ask that you stay muted, and I do appreciate that. Trying to figure out, there we go. Okay, so unfortunately or fortunately, part of my slides are over to the side a little bit, but I'll try to stay so that you don't have to see me cockeyed too awful much. Let's see. Let me go ahead and get to the beginning of PowerPoint. There we go. Okay. So as I said, the name of this webinar is Weight Management and Summer Activities. Our agenda is really kind of a quick agenda. The webinar is scheduled for an hour, but I'll be honest, there's a strong possibility it won't last quite that long. So we'll just see how everything goes and questions and things like that. So we'll do a little introduction and then the why, and then discuss some things about the ideal in managing weight. So really quick about me. My name is Laura Kibbe. I am a registered nurse. I have been a registered nurse for over 30 years now, but I've been around or in the medical field for over 40 years. My mother was a nurse. I started out as a dietary assistant in assisted living, and then also did one in a nursing home. So I did learn some about nutrition and diet and things like that. But of course, that was over 40 years ago. And for good or bad, things have changed a little bit, just depending on what avenues you're looking at dietary wise. I worked as a nurse aide, then as an LVN while I was working on completing my RN. And my background is primarily med surg, but I also have done some orthopedics, inpatient rehab, home pediatric, home hospice, and then of course managed care. My actual title here at Parkland Community Health Plan is Clinical Quality Investigator, which means if hopefully it will never happen, but if someone has a complaint, I do the investigations behind it to make sure that we can fix, correct, or improve whatever may be needed. I'm the mother of 4 and the grandmother of 1. And I've always been a person that has struggled with my weight like so many other people. So I definitely understand some of the challenges that we have, though each person has their own individual challenges, which, always makes it interesting to work on diet planning and things like that. I am from upstate New York, and I do say upstate. For me, this is what New York looks like. It's foliage and waterfalls and things like that. So anyways, okay, enough about me. So why should we care? So we're going to look at a little bit of some statistical information, some of the numbers behind it, which I know excites everybody. But sometimes if you see things, put out there on what the numbers look like, it kind of reinforces or may help motivate a person sometimes. So we're going to look at some numbers, and then we're going to talk about some concerns before we get on to some of the other meat and potatoes, so to speak, of the presentation. So the prevalence of, or the statistical, which I can't even say it, sorry about that, information as far as numbers on weight, okay? According to the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, the most up-to-date one that I could find that was completed in 2017, 2018, the number of people, and this is adults, I should say, not just people, but adults, which is anyone over the age of 20, is about 1 in 3 adults is overweight, which is 30.7% of the population. And then there's the numbers for men, which is a little bit higher than, whoops a daisy, sorry about that. Is a little, like I said, technology and which is a little bit higher than women at 27.5%. But if you're looking at numbers in population, that's still over a quarter or a third of men and women that are overweight. Then when we look at obesity, and we'll go into a little bit more definition of what obesity is and things like that in just a few minutes. But if you look at obesity itself, and this includes severe obesity, so it's not just people that just borderline on, being past that overweight point, but to the obese point. And again, we'll talk and look at some of those numbers in a few moments. There's 2 out of 5 adults that fall into the obese range, which is 42.5% of the population, adult population in the United States. Of course, these numbers are just for the United States. Okay, so that's 43% men, 41.9, almost 42% of women fall into the obese category. Then when we look at severe obesity, and again, we will look at that a little bit more, and I'll give you a definition of what that is in just a couple of minutes where we talk a little bit more about weight. But severely obese, so out of that 42%, 9.2% are severely obese, okay? 6.9% for men. And this is where women kind of kick up and surpass men, and it's 11.5% for women that fall into this severe obese category, okay? The highest levels of classification of adults for obesity is non-Hispanic Blacks at 13.8%, non-Hispanic whites at 9.3%, Hispanic adults at 7.9%, and then non-Hispanic Asian adults at 2%. Okay. Now, I've also added on here the prevalence of children and teens, which this is ages 2 to 19. Yes, I said 2 to 19. Okay. Showing the different levels. So 1 in 6 children and adolescents are overweight at 16.1%. 1 in 5 are obese, that's 19.3%. And then 1 in 16 fall in that severe obese category of 6.1%. So part of the reason we as adults want to look at our status, our nutritional intake, and our weight, and whether we're obese or not obese or overweight and things like that, is because we affect children and adults. Children and adolescents. We're their example. Okay, so it's up to us to show them that this is not necessarily the healthy way to live or the best way to live, because them starting so young, under the age of 19, 19% of children are obese. So it's kind of scary because it doesn't get easier as we get older, as we already know that. Okay. So, oops, 1 second. Next. Oops, come on a little quicker. There we go. Okay, this is just a demographic of what I just showed, because I know some people, it's easier to look at a graph or a chart to show where the numbers are. So these are the numbers that we've already talked about and mentioned. And this actually breaks it down a little bit more to age brackets. Okay, so where people fall, and this is for obesity. So that 42% that we talked about for obese, I'm sorry, was it 42%? I'm sorry, I should have written that down. Yes, it was 42%. So the 42% of adult population, this is their breakdown, okay, as far as the age groups. So we have, the overall, and then or 20 and over in general, and then it's broken down to 20 to 39, 40 to 59, and then over 60. Okay, so and as we get older, again, the more difficult it is for us to get our weight back down and back controlled. Okay, so some concerns about being overweight or obese. And a lot of this is probably information you're well aware of, but just kind of to remind you, to reiterate, um, and kind of reinforce why it's really important for us as adults to get our weight under control and try to get healthier and live a little bit healthier. It can lead to serious illness or conditions, elevated blood pressure. I mean, a lot of people that have high blood pressure have found that once they lose, 10, 20 pounds, their blood pressure is better and they don't necessarily have to continue with blood pressure medicine. Okay. It will elevate our blood sugars, which a continuous elevation in our blood sugar can lead to type 2 diabetes, coronary artery disease, strokes, gallbladder disease. And also, I just kind of want to mention an overlay. Some of these conditions are things that happen within a family. We seem to see a lot of family dynamics for certain things. So if you look at your family history and people that have had certain illnesses, is there high blood pressure in your family? Is there heart problems, diabetes? Is there history of strokes? Have a lot of people had gallbladder disease? And then look at the size of that person and kind of evaluate and see, well, hey, I kind of might be falling in that category. So some of these things could affect me. Osteoarthritis, sleep apnea and breathing problems. A lot of people with weight gain end up with apnea monitors at night so that they can, or CPAPs, which are apnea monitors, so that they can breathe easier and sleep throughout the night. Low quality of life. Mental illness. I mean, we tend to, when we look in the mirror and if we don't like what we see, we can become depressed or anxious or multiple other mental illness conditions and things. And then we end up with more body aches and pains and decrease in function. Think about if you are someone who maybe was a little bit slower, or as you've put on a little bit of extra weight, how you feel. What is your energy like? When you start to do something, I mean, how long can you do it? I have a son who is only 25 years old, who is overweight. And he started a job that was very, very physical, and he couldn't do it. He hurt all over. He had no energy level. So he had to quit that job to find another job. And that's at a very young age. That's 25. Okay, so this is why we want to start. No matter what age you are, it's never too early or too late to start. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the ideal weight and BMI. Okay, BMI, everybody talks about, oh, BMI, what's your BMI? Okay, so it's your body mass index, which is the measurement of body fat with your height and your weight. You can do it in pounds, it can be done in kilograms, you can do it in meters, and you can do it in feet. But remember, if you use kilograms, you must use meters. If you use pounds, you must use feet because they don't interchange. Okay. So it helps us know what kind of category we fall in. So now this doesn't break it down 100%, but here we are with our numbers. So if you end up going over 30 for your BMI, you're considered obese. And then the higher you go, the worse that it is. Now, how do we calculate the BMI? Okay, the manual calculation, and I'm going to use weight in inches because I'm old school and I don't always do well with the kilograms and the centimeters or millimeters. You take your weight in pounds. So say you weigh, whatever, and then your height, pardon me, and you do your height in inches, not in feet, you do it in inches. Then you take your height and you square it. So you basically kind of double it. So you divide that height into your weight and then multiply that by 703. Or you use a BMI calculator and you go on Google or whatever your search engine of choice is on the computer, and you put in BMI calculator, and you will have tons of options where you can just go ahead and plug in your height and your weight, hit results or whatever the trigger might be for it, and it gives it to you. So you don't have to do a lot of that wonderful math to try to figure out and make sure you did it right. They're usually pretty dependable and reliable. Okay. So next, oops. Okay, these are just going to be some little figures and charts and things for you to look at. So this is like one of those BMI indicator things that I was talking about. So if you look at it, it's got the height, and it's got it in feet and inches, and then it's got your weight. And of course, the weight is just rounded to the nearest 10 pounds. So like 120, 130, 140, etc. And then it gives you what the BMI would be. So if you're looking, say that you're 6 feet and you weigh, can't tell what that is, I'm sorry, 230 pounds, you're going to be considered obese, okay, because your BMI is 31. And of course, people, when you're shorter or vertically challenged, I'm one of those vertically challenged people, I'm only 5'2". We can't get as heavy as people that are taller, which makes sense because we have less body mass in order to measure. And then this one, I kind of like this one here on the right, just a little tiny bit better because it goes by 5-pound increments. The colors are a little bit easier to see, and it does convert from, like your height into centimeters, and then your weight into kilograms. So it's nice so you can see both ways. Okay. And then here's just a little illustration to show you what the difference looks like for men and women when you're looking at the BMI, just to kind of give you a different perspective and different visual. So a person who's underweight is not actually that much better than a person who's overweight. And the reason I say that is because you get health issues when you're underweight as well. Okay? You can suffer from malnourished. It still puts strains on your body and things like that. It's just a whole different set of problems. And then you have to try to gain weight. And these are people that, I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it, but just it's adult failure to thrive sometimes is what this is. Or this is our members or our friends and family members who are anorexic, suffer from a nutritional disorder like anorexia or bulimia or something like that. Okay, or there could be other health issues, medical diagnoses as well. And then this just shows you normal. And as you see, it's not, with men and women both. Then you get your overweight and your obese. So it doesn't take much of a tummy or extra padding around to be considered obese. Okay. So one moment, please. And just to reiterate and comment with the BMI, it is based on adults. There are things to look at for children, and usually when a child goes for a routine well exam, they will plug their numbers into a graph or a chart, and it shows you what percentile. So for children under the age of that are 19 or younger, they get graphed and they go by percentile. So that will determine, where they are as far as their weight goes and things like that. Okay. So managing our weight, where are we going to begin, and what are some recommendations for that? Okay. So the very beginning, look at your ideal body weight. We're going to look at something else in just a minute to talk about that a touch more. And another thing, especially if you've got any ailments or unusual aches and pains or a strong family history of anything, like I was talking before, with heart issues, blood pressure, diabetes, respiratory problems or concerns like asthma and things like that, you need to include your healthcare provider. Okay. You don't want to start something and then trigger something else. Okay. So it's very important to go in, meet with your healthcare provider, get a physical. If you haven't had a physical, that includes lab works so that you can get assessed and checked and make sure you don't already have like pre-diabetes or pre-blood pressure or anything like that. You need to go ahead and get a physical done, include lab work, and then sit down with your healthcare provider and say, okay, so this is where I'm at. And here we are with our planning stage. I want to make a plan. I need to lose some weight. I need to get healthier. I want to be around to harass my children and grandchildren for as long as humanly possible. Okay. I tell my children that all the time. It's like, I'm not going anywhere too soon. And I said, I'm setting my goals. I'm getting where I need to be because I plan on torturing you for a very long time. Okay. So start making your plans. A number one thing to remember, set realistic goals. Okay. You can have a long-term goal. If you're, 100 pounds overweight, okay, your long-term goal is you want to get rid of that extra 100 pounds. You want to lose that 100 pounds. Great. That's wonderful and admirable. And I really admire people a lot that have a long-term goal like that. But let's set some realistic small-term goals to help us reach that long-term goal. Because I'll tell you right now, if you set that, even to say that you're going to lose it in a year, depending on you and your metabolism and your ambition and your drive and things like that, that may not be realistic. That may be within, looking at, like I said, with your healthcare provider, because sometimes if you do something too fast, you can cause damage too. Because your heart's got to learn how to deal with having more energy and things like that. So you want to be realistic. And here's those two words that nobody likes to hear: diet and exercise. Okay. But before we go on to diet and exercise, let's talk about your ideal weight. There are tons of tables out there, like for the BMI for weight. Okay. And I want you to take a quick look at these two. The pluses for both of these is that it does note frame. Okay. Small, medium, or large. I have a small to medium type frame. It's not super huge. And your frame is not just determined by how tall you are or how short you are. Okay. You have to look at like how big your wrist is, and like you can look at other things like your hand size and your foot size and things like that. Those are kind of what help determine your frame. It's your bones that help determine your frame size. I have two children, two girls. They are similar in height. One's a little bit taller than the other one, but one of them has a much broader and larger frame size than the other one. One's got kind of, she's going to love me for this, has kind of wimpy shoulders, and the other one's broad shouldered. And there's nothing wrong with either one, but realistic goals for your frame size and things. Now, the thing I'm not a fan of with the one on the right, which is one that, is out there and that you can see. I unfortunately, regretfully, don't have the years of either one of these that when they were developed. But it's got kind of light weights, okay? Or what I consider light weights. It's like, so if you've got I'm 5'2", like I mentioned. So I'll use myself as an example. It says, so if I'm a small frame, which I'm kind of considered a small to medium frame, well, that means my like average or ideal weight is 99 to 110 pounds. I did get down to 110 pounds once. I had so many people ask me what was wrong. They all thought I had cancer or something else going on because it was too much of a weight loss. It was too low of a weight for even my small to small medium frame. Okay, so that's why I like the one on the right a little bit better. I'm sorry, because I may have said right for this one. This is the left. Whoops, I'm sorry. This is the left side, and then this is the right side. Sorry about that. So this one I like a little better because if you notice, it has ranges, because it knows that even a 5'2" person who has a smaller frame maybe needs to weigh a little bit more than 110 pounds to look healthy. So for me, yes, it's true. I have 120 is a really good weight for me. Unfortunately, that's not where I'm at either. But so this one is really good about giving averages and ranges. So I like a chart like this a little bit better. All you have to do is, again, go to whatever kind of, like if you go to Google or whatever drive you use to find out information, and put down ideal weight charts or basic ideal weight charts, and they'll pop up. And, that's how I found it. So a lot of my resources are stolen from Google, and, the download for pictures and all that good stuff. So there are some things about technology I really like. Okay, so here we go. Diet and exercise, two of the things that people dislike the most. Okay, but we're going to have it so it's not so negative. Okay. Okay, calories and hydration. A lot of people get really hung up on calories. How many calories should I eat? Okay, each person is different. So the number of calories a person takes in is different for all of us. Okay, there's the law of averages, just like with the ideal weight. Okay, so for safe weight loss, this is the law of averages. Okay, it is not rock solid. And again, work with your healthcare provider, because they will help you set realistic and safe weight loss calorie amounts. Okay. On the average, though, for a woman daily, especially attempting to lose a little bit of weight, 1,200 to 1,500 calories. Okay. For a man, 1,500 to 1,800 calories. Men and women are a lot alike, but there's still a little bit of differences. We have a little more estrogen, they have a little more testosterone. So there's some differences on what we may need. Okay. If you are desiring to have a caloric intake or bring in calories less than 1,000 calories per day, do not do that unless you are under the doctor's supervision. Okay. You absolutely positively, if you think you want to have less than 1,000 calories per day, I beg you, please talk to your healthcare provider. Okay. Crash dieting is not healthy. Okay, at all. Those are the people that you see all of a sudden go from a caloric intake or 2,000 calories or more a day, dropping down to 1,000 calories a day, that are passing out or ending up in emergency rooms and things like that. And you don't want that. Okay, so please, if you consider anything below 1,000 calories, please make sure you're under a doctor or healthcare provider supervision. Okay. Okay. Body composition. Our body, as everyone knows, we're made up of fat, we've got bones, we've got muscles, we've got organs, we've got water, we've got all kinds of stuff within our bodies. Okay, the main components seem to be fat, water, minerals, and protein. Okay, that we work with. Other things get taken into what our composition is and how our body is functioning and working. Okay. So we've got to look at gender, our age, our race, our overall nutrition. If someone's already diabetic, they need to look at that, because that needs to be taken into consideration. Okay. Physical activity, our hormonal status. People, I'll use women for an example. If you are premenopausal, menopausal, or postmenopausal, that's going to affect some of the way we are able to diet and what we may need. Okay. If you use a waist circumference, some people go real gung-ho and they do all body measurements. And I'll admit I'm guilty of doing that myself. Okay. We can use our waist as a good reference point to kind of give us an idea of what the abdominal fat content is. Okay. Because that seems to be, our little tummies seem to be one of the big places that we gain weight. Our hips and thighs too. And I'll just say out there, Hips and thighs sometimes are a little bit trickier to get the weight off, especially without exercise, but we'll get to that. Our main component, of course, is water, okay? So for men, it makes up about 60% of their body, and for women, 55%. All righty, the quantity that we need. There is a general rule of 8s, a minimum of 8-ounce glasses per day. Okay, that's the least. And that's every day, regardless of what you're doing, regardless of the season. To maintain a good, healthy lifestyle, we need our little rule of 8s. So 8-ounce glasses per day, which is a total of 64 ounces. All right. So let's see. And the thing is, we also get water from other things. So, you know, we are getting some extra fluids when we're eating vegetables. No, yeah, vegetables, because like lettuce is a high water content. And if we're drinking some juices and things like that, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So just a moment. Okay. So healthy eating, that is one of our major goals. Okay. It's just to eat healthier. If we get rid of some of the junk that we eat, that we're all guilty of eating, I mean, that's the first step and one of the easiest steps in some ways. Okay. So fruits, vegetables, whole grains, fat-free or low-fat dairy. Now, there's people with certain conditions, so to speak, that require even a little bit specialty. Diabetics have to be careful sometimes on the sugar content, which comes naturally in things like fruits and vegetables. Okay. So they have to watch out for that. People who are lactose intolerant, they have to be careful of their dairy intake. So that's why I said fat-free or low-fat dairy. And there are tons of stuff out there now that help, you know, people with that. People who are gluten-free, there are gluten-free alternatives out there. Okay. So what are some good ideas? So some of our good ideas for fruits and vegetables are, you know, carrots, sweet potatoes, citrus fruit, okay, berries, tomatoes, which is a fruit, remember, not a vegetable because of the seeds and things that are in it, collard greens, broccoli, spinach, red cabbage, onions, okay, oats. Okay, so when we're getting in our whole grain and things like that, you know, you want to eat things that are, you know, oats and wheat. We don't want that processed type of carbs and things like you find in white bread and things. So you want to try to stay with, you know, cracked wheat. And as you can see, there's also some seeds and things that are gluten-free. Pardon me, brown rice, corn, popcorn. Popcorn is one of the greatest things with a little carve out clause, as long as you're not smothering it with salt and extra butter and things. If you try it just naturally, you'd be amazed at actually how really nice and airy and refreshing it can be. Okay. So, and also with our wheats is also breads and pastas. And you can get most breads and pastas now that are gluten-free or are wheat. So take a look at that. With our dairy products, we've got milk, yogurt, cheese, lactose-free milk, and and fortified soy milk. They've got tons of those things available now. Almond milk, things like that. Okay. And as I mentioned, chronic illness considerations, and that's where I was mentioning the gluten-free and lactose-free, and you know, if you're on sugar-free because of diabetes and things like that. And then this is just a little chart to kind of give you an idea. And like I said, I am recording this so it can be posted. So if this is something you want to kind of look at again, you can pull it up yourself and get, you know, additional information. A lot of things are very similar for men and women, but because men tend to be a little bit bigger, you know, they tend to need a little bit more. But a couple things I'd like you to kind of just look at when we go look at some of these charts. Now for women, fruits from 19 years old to over 60 maintains the same, which that's one of the few things it does. Dairy is the same way though for men and women. But there is some fluctuation a lot of times, especially depending on childbearing years for women and then age. And a lot of times the decreases will come when someone is over the age of 60. Oops. Okay, so our proteins. Okay. Now, and proteins are regardless of whether you eat meats or you don't eat meats. Okay. Everyone needs proteins. It doesn't matter if you are a full-fledged 100% vegan, where you eat absolutely positively no meat, no eggs, no fish, um, no milk, no cheese, and things like that. So there's other ways that you can get protein. Some common ways we all get protein, of course, is in seafood and meat and poultry, eggs, but there's also beans, peas, lentils, nuts, seeds, and soy products, okay, that we can get that have the protein that we need to keep our muscles strong and going, okay? So just because, you know, you don't eat meat does not mean you do not eat protein. In fact, you absolutely positively, no matter what kind of diet you're on, you need to make sure you're getting some kind of protein. Read your labels, because that will tell you what the content is for each. And then here's the little chart again to show you how things go with as far as quantities. All right. Okay, so yes, I do have a cheat sheet, by the way, just to let you know. Okay, recommendations and some tips. As I mentioned already, do not crash diet. That is one of the worst and most frustrating things you can do. You crash diet, you lose some weight and you feel, oh, yay, this is great. Because you've like dropped down to like 1,000 calories a day, which of course you're not supposed to do unless you're with a healthcare provider. And then you say, oh, so I can start having a couple of treats or add a couple of calories. Well, as soon as you put those calories back in your diet, you're going to see weight gain. Okay, so that's why crash dieting is bad. You can lose a bunch of weight, but as soon as you start to eat again, add some extra calories, even if they're healthy calories, you can see an increase. And then you're kind of down in the dumps because you've gained weight when your goal is to lose weight. Okay. Let's see, monitor your calories, but don't become obsessed, okay? If you get way too focused on them, like if your goal is 1,300 calories a day and you do 1,400 one day, well, look at what you ate. If those things are really healthy, you had, say, an extra helping of carrots or a boiled potato, okay, those are not bad things, but they may increase your calories a little bit one day. So just make sure you're monitoring them. But when you look at them, and if you did go over, look at what you ate. And if it was something bad, just say, okay, I need not to eat that particular item. But if it was something good, say, oh, well, I'm a little over, but I've got something going here, and it was a good thing. Okay. Start your day off with a glass of water and stay hydrated. Okay, in the summer, we really need to make sure that we're doing that. All right. Eat breakfast. Okay, you want to have a glass of water. And when you're doing the hydration thing, okay, I keep my water by me all the time. All right, wherever you're going, wherever you're moving, keep some water with you. Okay. So you want some water and you want some breakfast because they're going to kickstart your day. They're going to kickstart your metabolism. They're going to get you going. Don't skip meals. Okay, I'm not a huge breakfast eater. I make sure I take a couple minutes after I've been up for a few and eat some breakfast because that's going to kickstart my metabolism. So then I know whenever something comes in, something's already been turning, so it keeps it going. Okay. Healthy choices, healthy snacks, lots of fruits and vegetables. And make sure, that you're getting those in because they help with your cardiovascular system. And, between the water, the fruits, and the vegetables, okay, nobody wants to talk about this, but we all have to cleanse our body out, which means we need to have routine with our bowel movements. The water and the vegetables and things like that, they're going to help keep us doing that because we get that nasty stuff out. And that helps us lose weight too. Things aren't getting backed up or clogged up. Okay. I know everybody loves to talk about that. I'm a nurse, like I said. Anyways, drink green tea. Try to drink maybe a cup in the morning or a cup in the evening, because green tea has a little couple of little antioxidants in it, and one of them actually helps prevent the storage of extra belly fat. You don't have to go excessive with it, especially if you're not a huge green tea fan. But if you can try to drink, like I said, a glass a day, if you want to drink a little bit more, that's fine too. But you know, if you can at least try, and if you can't do it every day, every other day, every little bit will help. Anything that's natural that will help your body kickstart and keep going with helping your weight loss, that's always a plus for me. Limit or avoid sugars, refined carbs, and highly processed foods. Yeah, you knew that had to come out at some point. Okay, avoid McDonald's and Arby's and all those wonderful fast food places. And like I said, our children are watching how we eat and they're already getting obese. Healthy eating, okay? Broil, bake, or steam your food instead of frying it. And believe me, I love my fried pork chops and fried chicken, just like everybody else does. But yeah, they're not good for us. They add way too many calories. When we're looking at our healthy eating and our healthy snacks, we want to do things like almonds or I'm trying to think now. Of course, now I can't think of it. You know, those things that are raw vegetables, carrots, celery, things like that. Okay. Add spices to enhance your flavor. Don't overdo it, especially if you have any problems with your, you know, GI system. If spices bother you, then go very, very easy with that. Try salt substitutes. One that comes to mind is Mrs. Dash. I know makes a salt substitute. You know, things like that to help us. Because also think about it, salty food, you know, can stay. If you've got any problems with blood pressure, it's going to stick to you. Slow down and focus on what you're eating. Don't watch TV. Don't, you know, be in the middle of doing something. Maybe some relaxing music. That's, you know, dinner conversation. Calm, not, you know, go through how the day was with your significant other or children or whatnot. But, you know, focus on what you're eating because you'll find that you're eating a little bit less. Get plenty of sleep. If we have no energy, that's when we fall into those comfort foods and fast foods because we're just too tired to even think about eating. Get daily sun. Okay, so in Texas, we've had so much sun, but usually the sunshine really does make you feel good. But today, I mean, we've got a day where the temperatures are only in the high 70s and 80s. We're not supposed to hit 90 today. So actually, you know, maybe that today for us is a plus and a pleasantry versus so much sunshine. Exercise daily. If you need help or support system, you know, a significant other, a sibling, a friend, somebody else who's maybe, even if someone is not trying to lose weight, you may find somebody who's got just healthy habits that are cool to hang out with. They go to the gym or they go for a walk. Okay. And again, I can't stress it enough. Keep your goals realistic. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Let's get moving. Okay. And these are activities for hot or cold conditions. All right. So healthy benefits, a minimum of 150 minutes or 2.5 hours to 300 minutes, which is 5 hours per week of aerobic activities, increasing as you tolerate. That's it. 2.5 hours a week at a minimum. That's really not that much. Okay. That's, you know, if you're just doing it, say you're only going to exercise 5 days a week, that's only 30 minutes a day. You know, and exercise can be all kinds of things. A 15-minute walk in the morning, a 15-minute walk in the afternoon. If you live in a 2-story house, go up and down the stairs 3 or 4 times. Okay, that's going to increase your metabolism and it's going to increase your muscle strength. Okay, and you do want to try to do some moderate or greater intensity muscle strengthening work, you know, so that you can work all the different muscle groups a couple of times a week. Don't overdo it the first couple of times that you're starting to work out. That's why I say, you know, start out with like little walks or an extra up and down the stairs or something like that. because what will happen is if you try to overexert or overwork those muscle groups, when you go, get some mini weights, and you don't have to go out and buy anything. Okay. People seem to think they need to spend a fortune on a gym membership or buy all this fancy equipment and things like that. No, not at all. Like I said, you go outside and go for a walk, you go up and down your stairs. And of course, in the summer, you're going to go early in the morning or later in the evening when it's not, 102 degrees outside or whatnot. If you've got some cans, especially if you've got some of the larger soup cans, like a family size soup can or something, hold those. Use those as your little dumbbells, especially if you've not worked out in years. There's no reason to overdo those muscles. Now, you may want to progress to a sack of flour, a bag of apples, some potatoes, simple things like that. And again, the stairs are awesome exercise. And this does not matter how old or how young you are. Okay. Older adults, I'm saying over 60, over 70, you have to work within the safety of what your body and your age allows you to do. But there is absolutely positively no reason not to, just because you're over 70, to stop moving. Keep moving. You'll be amazed on how well you feel. Okay. And if you don't like to do like a routine workout, I mean, there's things on TV, you can hop on YouTube or whatever and do exercises that way. But if you don't want one, alternate what kind of workouts you're doing. Okay. The limitations are you and how much you want to do. The more you do, like I said, those start out slow. I mean, don't, expect to do everything all in, 300 minutes when you've not been doing anything, that first week. Okay. Because you want to be amazed on how you just naturally increase something. Walk around the block and you do that for a couple of days or a week, and then all of a sudden you're realizing, hey, I'm going to walk around this block twice, or hey, I'm going to add an extra block. Okay, simple little things like that. And again, it doesn't matter about your age. Okay, you just want to stay active and you want to stay fit. Oops. My biggest challenge, the mouse. Okay, so let's see. Working with extreme weathers. Okay, so it doesn't matter if it's hot or cold, because we do get a few chilly days, and when there's ice outside, nobody's going outside. Do not leave your home. It is not safe to walk, drive, or anything. However, and I want you to notice that the hot and cold things are very similar on what you can do. Now, like I said, you don't have to go out and buy a membership to a gym or something like that. There's other resources for your gyms or places. Look in your neighborhood. Okay. Look at your church. I've gone by some really large churches, and I know some of them have gyms in them. Go hang out with the youth for a day. Do the exercises like I mentioned in your home. Even just walking in place or just, swinging your arms, things like that. Do the stairs. Swimming. I will say I am a big advocate for swimming. I really promote swimming because swimming is awesome, and it does work like all your body groups, and it helps your lungs in the whole 9 yards, but it's not realistic for everyone. Okay. So you have to find what you can do. And some people don't swim, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you have access to a pool and you don't swim, that's okay. You just hold on to the side and kick your feet. You're still going to be working a lot of because if you're holding on to the side and you're kicking your feet, your arms are still going to be moving. Your chest is still going to need to be breathing and expanding. And it does really work all your muscle groups. Okay. Look and see what's in your neighborhood that you can use that's available to keep you indoors when you need to stay inside because it's extremely hot or extremely cold. Mall walking, though we don't have as many inside malls as we used to have, a lot more of them are outside. But if it's a nice day, even if the temperatures are cooler, you can just go and walk out, in one of the outside shopping centers. Okay, be creative. Think of different things that you might be able to do. Okay, so let's just get moving. Okay, some other things to think of. And I mean, of course, some of this is outside stuff. So there's just that I don't know where this is, but this is really cool because there's water so people can fish. Oops, sorry. There's water so people can fish. There might be some swimming around there too. Just walking on the edge of, if you happen to go to a lake or someplace like that, just walking along the edge, having that resistance of the water when you walk will help too. That adds like some force to your walk. Okay. This happens to have some outside equipment and things that you use. Go to a playground. They've got monkey bars and things like that. Okay. Now I've not done that myself in a long time. But that's a good thing to try. Sporting events. Okay. Now this is actually like a major league type thing. But actually, if you think about it, how excited do you get when you're watching your favorite sports team play? And you kind of do exert some energy and things when you're there, even if it's to walk or stand in the line. Okay. Dancing. Dancing's awesome. Put the music on. Get silly with your children. They're going to think you're crazy, but you're going to be exercising. And even your teenagers, you can sometimes persuade them. Heck, listen to their music. Okay, so it's not all good. Listen to their music and move your dance with their music. It'll be hysterical and you'll all have a wonderful time. And you'll be exercising. Okay, and then of course there's the weights, swimming, and then this is just some stretching. Stretch, yoga. Okay. The most important thing to help with your weight management and weight reduction, if you want to lose it or if you want to maintain it, is just move. Get up and move. Okay. Let's see. Okay. For any assistance or additional information, this is my name and this is my office number and my work email. Feel free to reach out to me with any type of questions or concerns or anything like that. If you happen to be a member of Parkland Community Health Plan, and if you're a STAR member, the phone number is there. If you're a CHIP member, the number is there. There are some initiatives to assist you with some of our programs as far as weight management or accessibility to someplace, to go to work out or do something. You just have to call up and ask and find out what is available for your particular group and your particular plan. Okay, so don't hesitate to reach out, or if you need some assistance to find a healthcare provider, maybe that can assist you with that. And again, one of the most important things, let me go ahead and switch over here if there's any questions. One of the most important things is to make sure that you're moving. Make sure you're in touch with your healthcare provider. Ask questions, get assistance. Oh, I know one thing that I forgot to mention. I'm glad we still have a minute or two with dieting or nutritional intake. There's a couple of other modern things that you can do. One thing is there's all kinds of different apps that you can get on your phone. And of course I can't think of any right now, but you go to your app store or whatever and just put in fitness and you probably get 6, 10, 20 different apps that you can use that can help you, that you have it. Most phones, I believe Androids and iPhones, have automatic things in them themselves too that are available to help monitor your steps and to help monitor exercise, and some may even help you with the calories and stuff like that per day. And another thing that I use, and I am going to go ahead and go over to my references real quick. A lot of my references you'll notice are all .gov, .org, things like that, because I want reliable sources that I use. Okay, but one of them that I'm going to highlight for you is it's called My Plate Plan. Whoops, a daisy. Sorry. Whoops. Let me go backwards. Is My Plate Plan, and if you put in just My Plate, it'll pop up, and it will help you. It offers suggestions. It's got some great, wonderful ideas on alternate foods and portion sizes and what's good and what's bad. So I don't always, like emphasize one, but I have found that to be very dependable and reliable. And again, it is a government site. Also, the Diabetic Association and certain other places do use it as a resource and reference as well. Okay, I'm not sure if there's any questions or not, but I want to thank everyone very much. This will, like I said, get posted to the Parkland Community Health Plan website for you to go back to and look at and review. Again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or to your health plan or to your healthcare provider. Okay. Thank you very much. Oops, let me go ahead and stop sharing now. I'm going to, again, thank you very much. And I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon. Good luck with your dieting, nutrition. Just think, instead of making it one of those nasty words of diet and exercise, just healthy living, just living a healthy, better life so that you can enjoy it more with friends and family. Okay. Have a great afternoon and a great weekend. Thank you very much.